The Bharatiya Janata Party has suspended two of its loudmouth spokespersons after they made some controversial comments on Prophet Muhammad. Nupur Sharma has been suspended and Naveen Jindal has been kicked out. This is one of the rare instances where the governing political party is punishing its own people for insulting Islam, and that's why everyone is kind of shook. BJP spokespersons are repeat offenders when it comes to creating controversies around Islam using the platform that ad-funded TV news gives them. Nupur Sharma made the controversial comment on May 26th and she was suspended on June 5th. There was a gap of 10 whole days before the decision was made. Indian Muslims were expressing their outrage too. But something else happened that shook BJP and the Indian government this time.
Two BJP leaders' comments on Prophet Muhammad have unleashed a backlash in Islamic nations.
A number of shops in Kuwait are removing Indian products from their shelves. The senior BJP official's Islamophobic remarks has prompted calls for a boycott of Indian goods in the Gulf nation.
بسبب رسالة الرسول وحنا كشعب كويتي ومسلم لا نرضى رسالة الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم.
After this, the BJP panicked and sacked their spokespersons and declared that they were fringe elements. So today, let me tell you why they did that and exactly how important Gulf countries are for India. There are 5 big reasons why India considers countries in the Gulf region as important, and the number one reason is the obvious one: oil. As of April 2022, this year, India imported more than 20,875 metric tons of crude oil. Out of this, 70.6% was from the Middle East region. Last year, it was 79%. If we look at April, India imported $14 billion worth of petroleum crude. Out of that, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Iraq, Kuwait, and Oman were top suppliers. It's almost as if BJP respects oil religions. No? Get it? Reason number 2, emigration. There are around 3.2 crore Indians living abroad. That's about 2 Delhi's worth of Indians who emigrated to other countries. Now, out of these, 89.5 lakh are living in the Gulf. Just look at this. UAE, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Oman and Qatar have the majority of Indians in this region. Literally 1/3 of the population in the UAE is Indian. A quarter of the population in Kuwait and Qatar is Indian. A total of 89.5 lakh people live in these 9 countries. That is more people than the entire city of Bengaluru. So, there are quite a lot of Indians that the government needs to think about when it comes to their safety in these Islamic countries. Because we all know how upset people can get when it comes to protecting their gods. People, not so much, but gods. Woof. Reason number 3, remittances. Now, all these people living in the Gulf are there for one big reason: money. The earning potential in these countries is immense, plus the standard of living is usually better. So, Indians move out in search of work. They send money back to their families, and these remittances are quite big when taken together. Last year, India received $87 billion in remittances from abroad. That's more than the GDP of Sri Lanka. In the year 2017, 82% of all remittances came from these 7 countries. That comes to $57 billion. Wait, let me put this in perspective. For that much money, you can buy 28 units of the most expensive house in the world, Ambani ji ka Antilla. 28 Antillas. Or let me put it this way, the total remittances we got from these countries is equal to 31% of our total direct tax collections for 2022. Safe to say that is a lot of money, and this boycott Indian products business might just spill over and affect the livelihoods of Indians there. Reason number 4, trade. 3 countries, UAE, Saudi Arabia and Iraq, are the 3rd, 4th and 5th biggest trade partners for India. Together we have done trade worth 11 lakh crore rupees this year. That's slightly more than the amount of trade we have done with USA and China combined. India's exports to Gulf countries has increased by 58% between 2020 and 2022. And that's actually really good for us and shows that demand for our goods is going up in those countries. But it also means that when the boycott is called, all of this Make in India products that our businesses are making are left teetering on the edge of a cliff. Okay, finally, reason number 5. Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Yes, our globe-trotting Prime Minister has globe-trotted a lot in the Gulf region to establish chummy relationships with world leaders. Because that's his job. So I'm going to list out a few of his achievements for you so that you get an idea. In UAE, PM Modi was confirmed with the Order of Zayed, which is the highest civilian award in their country. This year, India and UAE signed a significant treaty which is a precursor to a groundbreaking free trade deal between the two countries. A Hindu temple is being built in Abu Dhabi by Swami Narayan Sanstha, an organization that Modi ji himself is closely associated with. Oh, also our biggest cricketing tournament, IPL, was hosted in UAE twice. Also, IFA was hosted there this year. Whenever Bollywood needs a change of scenery, Shah Rukh Khan Dubai ठुमकने चले जाते हैं. Oh wait, इस साल नहीं गए थे? चलो कोई नहीं, दुबई के ब्रांड एम्बेसडर है अभी भी. Let's go to Saudi Arabia. PM Modi was conferred with the Order of Abdul Aziz in 2016, which is the highest civilian award there. King Mohammed bin Salman visited India in 2019, was hosted by friend Narendra Modi, and invested approximately $100 billion in India. Billion. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval met with the Saudi Crown Prince MBS one-to-one in an effort to counter Pakistan's narrative on Kashmir. Reports indicate that our relationship with Saudi Arabia has let us put a lot of diplomatic pressure on Pakistan. Right. Next up, Qatar. PM Modi met Sheikh Abdullah bin Nasser Al Thani of Qatar in 2016. India and Qatar signed 7 bilateral agreements to bolster trade. Qatar, as it so happens, is the largest supplier of liquid natural gas for India. So this thing by Modi ji actually makes sense. Leaders of both countries also issued a joint statement to strongly condemn the phenomenon of international terrorism. When Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Bahrain and UAE broke diplomatic ties with Qatar in 2017, India stepped in to help keep the peace. We asserted that India has vital stakes in peace and stability in the Gulf region, for obvious reasons. Let's talk about Kuwait. PM Modi was supposed to visit the country in 2020 but couldn't due to the pandemic. India supplied 2 lakh doses of made in India Covishield vaccines last year, and in return our external affairs minister thanked them for taking care of the Indian community during the pandemic. Remember, a quarter of the population in Kuwait is Indian. Indian companies like Larsen & Toubro, Shapoorji Pallonji, Punj Lloyd, Simplex Projects, SR and Kalpataru were awarded construction contracts worth over $6 billion in Kuwait. So, suffice to say, we have quite a lot of business interests in the country. Oh, by the way, did you know 1 Kuwaiti dinar is worth 254 Indian rupees? Now you know why so many Indians want to live there. And finally, let's talk about Oman. PM Modi went there in 2018 and was hosted by the Sultan Saeed Qaboos bin Said Al Said. He also addressed a crowd of 20,000 Indians at a stadium in Muscat. He visited a 125-year-old Shiv temple built by the Gujarati merchant community at Muscat, located near the Sultan's palace. Oman is the only country in the Gulf region with which all 3 services of the Indian Armed Forces conduct regular bilateral exercises. Oman also provides critical operational support to Indian naval deployments in the Arabian Sea for anti-piracy missions. So, given all of this, and quite literally the efforts of Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself to build ties with these nations, it was only natural that these 2 loudmouth spokespersons would be thrown under the bus. It's simple geopolitics, my dear friends, nothing else. We simply cannot afford to piss off these bunch of countries. Now, in the end, I have to add that yes, Nupur Sharma said things that upset the Muslim community worldwide, and yes, she should not have poked the hornet's nest. I also have to say that the BJP leaking her address was just not okay. What you need to understand though is that there is a giant number of Indians living in these countries, working there and sending money home. Ensuring their safety and livelihood is the number 1 priority of our government. And fringe elements like Naveen and Nupur are a small price to pay for that.
The subscription model is something that keeps newslaundry afloat, but we need hundreds of thousands of people to completely transform the news ecosystem. So you pay for news, so it serves you. So click on the link with this video, subscribe to News Laundry and pay to keep news free. और गर्व से कहो, मेरे खर्च पर आज़ाद है खबरें.